And here we go. This is going on the blog right now.
It's going on YouTube tonight, Brad.
So, Pete, tell us about Tony and not only your own personal experience with him, just briefly, but give us a little context for those of us who might not know the context of the role that he has played, the influence that he's had around the country and around the world. Just got back from Australia, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's not excited about it.
Righto, mate.
Righto, mate. So, Pete.
Wait, are you recording this?
No.
Okay.
Ignore that red light on the front of the camera.
But this is very hard for me to introduce somebody from Ireland. Because from Ireland, the difference is in America, you guys are all so nice. If you don't like somebody, you say you like them anyway. So people say, oh, I really like you, even though you don't. In Ireland, even if we like somebody, we tell them we don't like them. We just like to kind of put people down. It's kind of our thing.
Bring it.
So I'm confused. We
Bring
don't
it.
like either of you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of something like that, you know. These guys are kind of more upbeat than us. I mean, I saw Delhi last time I was here. We said like world's best deli or something. Wow. Imagine the amount of money you'd have to do to research that, you know. And here's me thinking, it must be an awful lot of money. I mean, and I thought it was relative, things like delis. In Ireland, we would have, you know, this deli is kind of pretty rubbish, but sure, you're standing outside anyway. It's probably raining, so why not come in? So yeah, so I'm going to try and be a nice guy about Tony, and we met in Yale. I think that was Yale. It was Yale, yeah.
Was that the first time?
And he was kind of responding to one of my rants that I was doing at the time. But then I came to know Tony as a kind of very provocative figure, and I think I was commenting about him today. I said there's a little bit of the Socrates in him. Now this is not a good thing because Socrates was killed. For asking too many questions and rubbing people up the wrong way. But he reminds me a little bit of that Socratic figure. He asks untimely questions, the questions that nobody really wants to ask, the questions that are uncomfortable. And also there's a little touch of my favourite philosopher, which is Kierkegaard, who again always brought out unpalatable truths, always critiqued and asked the questions and said the things that other people didn't want to say. So for me, Tony is that person today. He asks these questions. He has insights and he has questions which are uncomfortable for people and yet need to be listened to and need to be heard. So if he's not martyred, he may well one day become a saint.
Wow, that was well done.
No, that is...
I haven't even write that stuff down. That stuff's gold. That stuff's gold. These guys are
Shane Tony's publisher's not here.
Yeah, too bad.
You know, I should be in an auditorium. This is good. Oh, right.
Just hold that.
Now, Tony, we're going to stay on you for a second, all right? Fill in the gaps with your biography, your narrative, where you come from, where have you been in the last 20 years? In 30 seconds.
I grew up in Edina, Minnesota, suburb of Minneapolis.
So we're either going to walk away talking like Irishmen or something else, right?
Full of rich white people, which I just blogged about yesterday, actually, because Edina went for Obama, and my own precinct went for Obama. So it was just, I mean, it's a interesting place to live, and we're in an interesting time, right?
Now, you can get political on us and all.
I could, but I won't.
But you won't.
You can go to my blog and read all about that. Thanks.
That's doubled your readership.
I still live in Edina. I've left Edina 3 times in my life. Once to go to Dartmouth College, once to go to Fuller Seminary in Pasadena, California, and once to go to Princeton Seminary for a PhD, which is going to be completed one of these days. I have 3 children who are 8, 7, and 4. And you know we have a nice suburban existence. I did run the Emergent Village Network until last week. I did that for 3.5 years. Kind of acted as a networker and a resource. And I write books, and I do a lot of this. I do a lot of traveling and speaking. I'm a police chaplain in my hometown, and volunteer with the PTA at my kids' school and things of that nature.
Great.
Good enough?
That's wonderful.
Okay, now this guy?
Now the good part.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about
He's getting the glasses on. That's going to be good, right?
Yeah. I remember hearing that this relatively scandalous book was being published by this kind of boutique-y Christian publisher on Cape Cod whom I knew. I mean, I knew the publisher, and I don't know that we were already working together. We may have been, but we had at least met and talked, and that they were publishing a book that was so out of left field for them. I really couldn't quite believe it, actually. And I remember getting a copy of this book and thinking, holy crap, like this is incredible. It's incredible for a couple reasons. First of all, Pete's first book may have been the first book where an author unapologetically referred to himself as the emerging church. I'm speaking on behalf of the emerging church, or the church that is emerging. But more importantly than that, it was a revival of medieval apophatic theology, which if that term is lost on you, we can unpack it in a moment, married with some of the philosophy that I was completely enamored of. The philosophy of Jacques Derrida and Emmanuel Levinas and some of the great postmodern philosophers. And I thought, this is amazing. Okay, so that's kind of the one piece of it. But then something else happened. And that is that I met Pete at Yale a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And we went out for a pint afterwards.
Yeah.
And then I went to Belfast to spend time with Pete. And he wasn't there.
Yeah.
He was gone for the 4 days I was in Belfast. But here's what was interesting. I hung out with Icon, his community, and some of his very best friends in the world. And I developed a great affinity for Pete. I mean, a personal affection for him. And I guess then what I would say is something to know about the emerging church, a term with which you may not be familiar, but your pastoral staff is all very familiar with that term. For all the things you hear about the theology and the philosophy and the crazy churches we're starting and the crazy liturgies we do, it really all started with friendship, and that's what we were really all about. So when Sean says tonight's about friendship, I mean, you can strip away all the books we've written and the Christian celebrity that most of us think is completely BS. And it's about this great affection that we have for one another. And so I attest my affection.
I'm tearing up here, man. Honestly,
right here. I want to hug him.
Yeah,
And I might later at the La Quinta Inn. Yeah. Before we, after a couple more whiskeys, Irish whiskeys, before we part ways for our rooms, I'll give him
I'm not driving either.
I'll give him a warm embrace. But seriously, this is what it really is all about for me and for a lot of my peers in Emergent, and I know it is for Pete too. It's just about a great here. We looked at the generation of Christian leaders who preceded us. We thought, these guys freaking hate each other. It's all about competition between one megachurch and another megachurch, and who's selling more books and who's got a bigger radio program. And we just were like, we're not going to be like that. We might lose our faith, lose our churches, never get a book deal, whatever. But can we just die as friends? I remember having these conversations 10 years ago. Let's just die friends. And I know that though we're separated by an ocean, although you spend about half your darn life over here promoting your books.
Yeah.
But he comes over here when you go to Belfast.
That's true. Yeah. We'll die friends. I know that.
That's a great spot. Thanks, Tony. I don't want to.
Hey, thanks for filming.
Yeah.
Thanks.